forward.
Civil service.
So, as you, Stacy Jackson, I think a lot of you may know who he is. He's a gentleman that attends our meetings. He ran for council at one time as well, and he expressed an interest in getting involved, and he originally applied for the park board. And I had told him that I am not going to appoint anybody in that vacancy until council decides how they want to do that, leave that vacancy alone. But we do have a vacancy and have had a vacancy on the Civil Service Commission, and I talked to him if he would be interested in the Civil Service Commission. And anyway, so he's lived in the city for 8 years, I know for sure, but I wanted to bring it forward.
Discussion, council?
The only applicant,
Yes.
and we have a vacant position,
Yes.
and you're recommending?
Yes.
Council pleasure?
Move forward.
Don't mince your words, Jeff.
Okay, approval of expenditure for council.
So, something I've been wanting to do for a long time, and I don't know if anybody has noticed, out in the hallway there, coming off of 3rd Avenue, we have the big bulletin board, and we have these little shadows of pictures that will be identifying council members, and I thought it would be a good idea. We don't display who our council members are other than a name, and I think it would be good for the community to be able to place a face to the council member and the committees that they sit on. And the other part of that bulletin board also will describe maybe some of the things that are being worked on in each of those committees, so try to kind of keep people more informed. Bonnie King is somebody that is willing to come here and do the city and do the sitting here and do the individual headshots right here at City Hall so that we can have the pictures. We're going to develop another cost us about $300 to do all of council and the mayor.
Is this so we can come and go through the screen?
That's right.
That's awesome.
I want to make sure they know, not just me.
No, I'm just kidding. Put up pictures of like our puppy, a cute puppy.
I know, I'm sure all of you have been to other cities.
I've never been to another city ever.
This is common practice in other city halls, I should say. It's common practice, and it's something I've been wanting to do for over a year now, and was able to find a really good price. But Bonnie King, she's the guy that came and talked to us regarding Metro.
Is she a Pacific resident?
No, she's not. But she works here.
I would suggest we do this after the election.
We still have a majority of council that will be here. For the price, I don't think it's that big of a difference to move forward.
Anyway,
That's my personal opinion, but
Can she come back and
council
cut you a deal for the 2 to 5 new heads that are coming in?
I'm sure she will.
Talk to that.
She cut us a really good deal coming here on site and doing this and developing 8x10.
It's $300. This isn't even, it's really good you have.
It doesn't even have to, I want council.
Is it like one of those
Prove it, 'cause I
Walmart
want you to
things where
come in
it's
and
the first
under-
shot and you're done?
It's $200 for the first sitting and then $100 if there's a second session fee. You can ask her if she'll count that second session. If nobody needs the makeup before the election, can she do the makeup after the election?
Well, it should be a
Rather than
digital
say
plan
300.
where you can run back and go again, no, try again.
And, she's a professional pet photographer, so.
I'm gonna bring in my puppy, we're done.
What's council's pleasure?
It's all right.
Bring your dog.
Thank you.
Okay, committees adding to agenda. Councilor Page?
Yes, we've had some issues as of late where our committees are trying to bring things to council, and we're running into some issues when it goes through the clerk's office and getting onto the agenda and not being brought forward in the manner in which we requested it to be brought forward. And we need to find out why that's happening, and if there's an issue with staff time, then the other alternative, I believe I heard one council member say, is to have the attorney do it for us. But I'd hate to see that type of expenditure spent for something like that. And I just think that it undermines our committee authority that the council grants to each committee when that happens. And,
Can you explain to me what's happening?
well, the example is we had a recommended ordinance change for Pacific Municipal Code for shared leave policy. And instead of having that document come forward as a new ordinance for discussion, and during discussion, it either goes forward for approval or it goes back to committee for revisions. And instead, it was left off as an ordinance and only brought forward as a discussion item. And I think, heard at least 2 other council members express concern over that, and we just need to get to the bottom of it. And I wanted to see what other council members had to say about it.
I know I was confused because I thought it was going to come forward, and when I had talked to Amy, because we had a meeting where I was going to come in and do the whereases for the ordinance, she said that only the Park Board Commission and Planning Commission ordinances were going to come forward, and that the other ordinance, the sick leave policy, was going to be brought forward only as a discussion. I didn't understand, because I thought it was coming forward as an ordinance, so I didn't even know what to do at that point, so,
But if there's no ordinance drafted, are you saying that she was supposed to draft it, or was she provided with an ordinance?
Well, when we left committee, that was the understanding, is that's what
that
would
was going to
happen.
be an ordinance.
And who was gonna provide it to her?
Amy and I were going to sit down and write it out, and I had an appointment to come in and do it. And she sent me a text, and she said that the 2 ordinances for Planning Commission and Park Board residency were written up. I just need to look at it to approve it, but that we would not be writing up the one for sick leave policy because it was only going to be brought forward as a discussion.
So do you know where that direction came from?
Well, and it could have been from me. For the simple reason, I'm not sure when you guys met, but I felt this was something that was going to take more council discussion before staff took the time in writing the ordinance so that we weren't doing it over and over. And as it is, there's a lot of discussion that came out of this, and there's more research that needs to be done. It wasn't to hamper any committees. As you see, I want everything brought forward. And never is the intent. I felt this was a big enough issue, and more people had to look at it before we were actually bringing an ordinance together, so it didn't look like this was what was being set in stone or whatever. And I understand your concern, and that was never my intent.
Right. I guess my concern is that instead of directing staff not to do that, maybe contact the committee chairman and pass that by them so that they understand, so that you can get on the same page, and then the rest of the committee can be informed that, hey, we're not going to bring this one forward as a recommendation, we're only going to bring it forward as discussion, and these are the reasons why there are some concerns, and that way we're all on the same page and don't feel undermined.
Do you want me to do that and not staff, is what you're saying? Because that sounds like that's what Amy did.
No, I didn't
But
know
there's no
why.
explanation behind it.
I have no idea.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay.
I just,
Okay.
like, no idea.
Not a problem.
I mean,
That's easy.
yeah, I mean, if we're going to separate the powers, executive branch from legislative branch, and if we as the legislative branch are bringing something forward for discussion at workshop with the potential of moving it forward for approval, I think council should be the one to decide whether it needs to go back to committee after discussion versus someone on the executive side saying, no, I don't agree with that, more work needs to be done to it, bring it forward as a discussion item, but, you know.
Okay, and I get that, and the reason that I made that decision at the staff meeting last Tuesday was based on the report that was reported out at the council meeting from the governance committee on this is what we're gonna change. I'm like, I think that needs more work before we do that. So that was me, that was the direction I gave, and I'm sorry that it didn't get conveyed that way, that's my bad.
So what I would suggest then is to speak to the committee chairman and say, hey, we don't want to forward this, these are my concerns, I think more work could be done, I think staff time could be used better elsewhere, and then I think it would alleviate some hurt feelings.
No, point well taken, I did not know that you were not explaining that.
And I will say, I did call Rich today and got a little bit, but I think time was a huge issue in getting the full explanation. So, that's why I didn't get back to you as much.
And honestly, would any of these really come as resolutions? Because the council shouldn't necessarily be writing resolutions, right? It should be the department head that handles it.
Right.
So these really should all be discussion, and whatever comes from the discussion should then be forwarded to
I
staff.
thought we had to write it somewhere else. Wrong with that.
For $50 a week.
Oh, gosh.
Sorry.
I've
That's
been
the
going
attorney's
in and
report.
meeting with the
No, that's
city councilor.
staff.
I thought I had to do
That's
that. Oh, my God.
I mean,
So I don't
we
have to
can
go
help
through
and
it.
help shape the discussion, but that happens, I think, at the committee level here. But I don't think we need to be writing
And you've been so
ordinances.
polite, you never told me I didn't have to.
So, I mean, really, all we need is discussions and then come forward with what our final decision is as a group. I mean, that's just my thought.
That's what we got Josh for.
He writes them in 5 minutes left.
I thought Josh wrote his up. I really.
Well,
He
yeah.
amended it.
He just makes it up.
He's really good at amending.
Yeah.
He's not the city, but he plays.
Good.
I really thought we had to write these up.
I write for a living.
So, can I ask a question though? I mean, since it was brought up as a concern, and maybe we could just have a conversation offline, is there other times that you felt that happened?
Yes.
So let's talk about.
Not just with the workshop, but with other topics, which is what we'll discuss tomorrow night.
Okay,
The meeting tomorrow.
perfect.
And just as a reminder, council rules say council president or 3 council members and a mayor can add to the agenda. There's nowhere in the council rules procedure that we can remove it until it comes to the actual meeting. So, just as a reminder for everyone, if it's put on the agenda, it stays on the agenda until council takes it off. So,
Oh, like number 3.
either here or at an actual meeting, so, because that was probably we had with prior administrations where council would move stuff forward and it would just never appear on the agenda again.
And I don't have a problem if we make all of this discussion items, and then there won't be any issues, when we just discuss them and then say, okay, let's put it in resolution form or ordinance form and vote on it. But I just think that we had some expectations, and when you're on a
No,
phone
totally
conversation for an hour and a half with another council member over it, it would be nice to alleviate some of that.
Anything else?